Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to This Week in Phillies Baseball. I am your host, Austin Hamill. Joining me this week, we have Mark Baker and Joe Sullivan. Guys, how are we doing tonight?
Not too bad tonight. Not after a good homestand, doing pretty well.
Yeah, doing really well, man. I mean, like I was saying before we hopped on. I mean, last week, coming off of what a 1-9. What were we, about 5.5 behind the Mets, and in a week's time, all of a sudden 5-1 homestand. Bats are starting to pick up a little bit. Great starting pitching, and only two? What are they? 2.5 behind the Mets, I think.
Let me double check that for you.
Yeah,
really
because
quick.
I know the Mets. I know this weekend they made up 3 games because the Mets just got swept by Tampa. So it was a great weekend.
Yeah, they're back 2.5 now. Yes,
sweet.
Yeah, a lot of good action for Philadelphia in the past week. Like Joe was saying, going 5-1 in the homestand. What, in your guys' opinion, I'll start with you, Joe. What was the one thing that stood out to you this week that the Phillies did this week compared to last week, where they had that tough stretch?
Well, I mean, starting pitching. I mean, you got, I know they had pretty good starting pitching even when they were losing. I mean, you look at the Pittsburgh series, they got, they got good starting pitching the whole time too. But, the starters have just been phenomenal. I mean, Sanchez Saturday, Sanchez didn't walk, barely walked anybody. Yesterday, Wheeler could have gone more than 5, but they were up by so much they took them out. So, I'm going to say starting pitching, and honestly, Otto Kemp. I mean, look, Otto Kemp has come up, kind of giving this team a little boost.
Yeah, definitely. Mark, anything that stood out to you?
Well, it's funny because last week we were talking about like who's going to be that guy. Do we have a young tone setter that can come in and really help this team out? And we speculated Otto Kemp. I mean, and that's exactly what has happened. I will agree. Also, starting pitching, but when it comes down to it, we've got some contributions from Bohm, from Castellanos. We've had some guys step up, and it's a little unexpected with Harper being out. But considering where the projection or the trajectory of Alec Bohm's season was, let's say, in April to now, I mean, yes, like his OPS is as low as it was since 2022. But I mean, if you look at June, if you look at May, I mean, the trajectory of his season. I mean, this past week, I'm watching this guy rake, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, the Phillies are going to have a tough decision to make in the offseason. It's a lot easier when a guy comes out and he has a down year and it continues to project lower and lower. But I don't know. I mean, this past week has shown that, like, this guy may not give you a lot of versatility on defense, but I mean, damn, he hit well this week. He really did.
Yeah, Otto Kemp had a really good week for Philadelphia. The starting pitching definitely did stand out. Like Joe was saying, everybody really, I guess you could say they really pulled it together after the stretch they had last week, especially with losing 5 in a row between Toronto and Pittsburgh. Those were games that you definitely wanted to even take another one out of. Even those 5 would have been marginally better, but seeing the way they responded going up, grinding out the 11-inning win against Chicago to start off that series, and then ripping off the 4 straight, rounding out Chicago and going right through Toronto after only taking 1 of the 3 from them the previous week. It's good to see that momentum's come back. And like you were saying, Mark, Otto Kemp has been pretty solid so far in place of Harper. But I mean, the offense is still there from what we're seeing. It's just they needed a quick second to essentially wake up. And I feel like that 11-inning game really did that for them.
Yeah. By the way,
yeah, go ahead, Joe.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was going to say shout out to 2 guys that I think we all wanted to charter a plane and drop off at like Tom Hanks' Castaway Island last week. Kepler and Brandon Marsh both started hitting the ball.
Yeah, Max Kepler really did start to come alive big time for Philadelphia in the past week. I mean, was there any other players that you guys wanted to make mention of that seemed like, outside of, Kepler and Marsh, were there any other guys that you guys wanted to sort of spotlight for this upcoming week?
Well, in terms of the organization itself, there was a report that Zach Wheeler has said he will retire after the 2027 season. That puts a little bit more pressure on our farm system. That puts a little bit of pressure. It kind of rocks the boat a little bit, but I mean that was, if that's the toughest news to hear on a good homestand, I'll take that.
Yeah, 100% agree. Joe, you got any?
No, I was going to say, I mean, yeah, like you said, I mean, I think we all pretty much know that, like, you look at this core. I mean, it's this year is pretty much make or break. You know what I mean? Because you could lose Schwarber, you might lose Swart. Ranger could go, JT could go. I mean, this team could look drastically different next year. So you figure you gotta what, a 3-year run with Wheeler, right? This year, next year, and 27. So let's just hope they find a way to get it done.
Yeah, the landscape of this team is going to look different in the next few years, and we hope that there's absolutely at least a championship run in the books for them before that time does come. Quick look ahead into next week. We actually have a game tonight as the Phillies are going down to Miami to play against the Marlins. The pitching matchup tonight is Mick Abel making his second start of the year, going up against Sandy Alcantara. Guys, what do you guys think about that pitching matchup tonight?
I think we're in for a doozy. Alcantara struggled a bit. He has struggled this year, but I'm fascinated to see if he can if he returned back to where he was a couple of years ago. And Mick Abel's had a phenomenal start to his career. I mean, better than I've seen. So I think we're in for a doozy tonight.
Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Abel kind of, was, his first couple starts, he was borderline unhittable. You know what I mean? His last start against the Cubs, he kind of came back to earth a little bit, but this will, hopefully he brings it. Hopefully he brings it tonight. You know what I mean? And I mean, I'm looking at the betting line. It looks like it's pretty much. I mean, I'm looking here. It says Fox. The Phillies got a 52% win probability, and that's probably because of Alcantara. I mean, Alcantara's had his struggles, but he can deal at times. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Alcantara can definitely be able to get the ball across the plate very well. I mean, he struck out. What did it say? He struck out 50 guys so far this year. He's on pace for 117 total. So, I mean, the guy definitely can throw his stuff very effectively. He just, like you guys were saying, he's had a bit of a rough patch recently, but he seems, I mean, his last start wasn't all that bad. Three hits across 6 innings with 6 strikeouts. So he could be starting to find that form again. And like you guys were saying, Abel had his come back to earth moment in his last start against Chicago. But overall for the month of June, I mean, totaling out to a road ERA of 1.69. Going into Miami with those kinds of numbers, you kind of like that, the odds there for him.
Definitely. Yeah. And the Marlins don't exactly have a great lineup. So let's hope he can keep them at bay.
Yeah. Miami has been a very strange team this year, to say the least. Where was those numbers at? I had their numbers up, and then because I used this one to look at something else because I am very smart.
Oh, Austin, I was just sitting here thinking, like, how, I mean, of course, being 5-1, there's a lot of positives, but are you guys getting a little concerned about Bryson Stott though? Because I kind of am a little bit. Like, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I feel like his approach at the plate is a little different, and it's not helping him out as much as it is hurting him. It's been really rough offensively for him all year long. I mean, he finds his bright spots here and again, but it's been pretty rough on him so far this year.
I think we've had a pretty long leash with Stott for the past couple of years. And I think it's worth having a conversation. Is it really worth it long term?
Yeah, I mean, I can remember, like, a couple years ago in that playoff game, the whole, the whole against the Marlins, coincidentally against the Marlins actually, and like, the whole stadium singing the AOK, and he hits the big home run, and it's just like now you watch him. I mean, he certainly sees enough pitches, but it seems like he can't get around on a freaking fastball. Like I'm like, well, like. I don't get it, man. Like he gets hitters counts and he's late on the fastball, and that's very concerning.
Yeah, it is seeming like that for sure. It's one of those things you have to, I guess, take. I would assume probably take a couple extra hacks in the batting cage when you get the opportunity to, so you can try and get yourself around on it. It could just be something mechanical. It could even be something as simple as like he just feels he doesn't feel as tight when he's making his step, and it's not getting the bat around faster. So it could just be something mechanically. It could be something stress related from an injury, possibly. We don't really know for sure because he's out there every day. He could eventually bang himself up every once in a while, and just his step just changes a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the reality after the 2022 season. They signed Trey Turner and moved Stott over to second base, and there's over time you start to see there's a reason for that. Stott's been great defensively at second base, but I question that move to now. Did the organization see something in Stott that they didn't really think that he could be that? Trey Turner's had his struggles, but they didn't think that they could see a certain level of production that they see from Turner. I don't know. It seems that move 3 years ago as to now starts to make a little bit more sense. Offensively, this guy, as if this guy was a starting shortstop in 23 and 24, would we have had the same level of production? Despite the fact we've seen struggles from Trey Turner, would we have seen anything remotely close to what we've seen from Turner if, let's say, Stott was shortstop? So it starts to make a little bit more sense that they made that move 3 years ago, because I think that now as a fan base, we're starting to see that, okay, maybe this guy, maybe they saw something that's really starting to veer its head now.
Yeah, I just think I think a lot of us. I mean, I know I'm wrong on Stott, because after that 23 playoff, after that big home run versus the Marlins, and even the playoffs against the Braves, you know what I mean, and Arizona, I thought the kid was going to take a step forward, and I know he was hurt last year, so it almost makes you wonder, like, has he not fully recovered? I mean, because he don't look like the same guy he did a couple years ago. I mean, he just that's a little concerning. It almost makes you wonder, like, maybe Sosa should see more time, or I think Kemp could play a little second base. I know he's not great defensively, but like, it makes you wonder, well, does Kemp get a little bit of run at second, when Harper comes back,
Yeah. And so I don't know if it's, I'm not sure what it is more useful, right? Is, because you get that defense from Stott, but you don't really get that level of production, that level of just tenacity that you maybe could get from Otto Kemp. So it's a matter of, like, in that position, do you need that energy? Do you need that tenacity? Do you need that level of youth, or do you need that, level of just a platinum level glove type of, defense?
Yeah, I mean, like we were talking about offensively, the slash line, just from the difference between 23 to now, the slash line in 23 of 280, 329, 419 with a 747 OPS, dropping down in 24, considering, the injuries that he had, 245, 315, 356 with a 671 OPS. And then currently this year, 236 average, 301 OBP, 326 slugging percentage, OPS of 627. So went from being a WAR of 4.4 to a negative 0.1 this year, just in 2 years difference with Bryson Stott. It's the offensive decline is definitely visible. You really do hope that he can find whatever that magic was that he had in 2023 to be able to get that bat back, because like you were saying, Mark, defensively he is decent at second. He's very good at second. He just the bat has been falling off, and it always ends up coming down to the mental game of it. If it's simply mechanical, like I was saying before, or if it is, still lingering stuff from an injury that he never truly 100% recovered from. There's a lot of questions there still, and you hope that, if it's an injury, that he can get the time that he needs to recover and come back to his old self. And if it's mechanically, you hope that, a few extra hacks here and again in the batting cage can help sort of set him right, because that production is very sorely missed from Bryson Stott, I feel, especially where he usually bats, like right near the tail end of the heart of the lineup. Those numbers would be huge for us right now.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to look into the rest of this Miami series. Game 2 on Tuesday is the pitching matchup of Luzardo and Quantrill, which I feel I think Luzardo had his blip in the radar start, and I think he's starting to get back into it a bit now. What do you guys see with Luzardo, not only in this start, but going forward for the rest of the year?
I mean, I'm just hoping that the two horrible starts were more of him tipping his pitches, and if you base it off of how he pitched for Chicago last week, it's hopefully that's the case, because he, I mean, the guy was pitching like Cy Young candidate, and all of a sudden he got shelled, like historically shelled too, by the way, and then at least he was right back on point. What was it he pitched the Wednesday afternoon game, I think, right?
Yeah.
I think it was Wednesday afternoon. Yeah. So, hopefully he's got his stuff together.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has been pitching very well. He has 93 strikeouts on the year, an ERA of 4.23, which has bumped up a little bit because of those two shaky starts that he's had. But the numbers are there for him so far. Mark, your opinions on Luzardo tonight and going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think we judge things very harshly. I was looking because, the week prior to this homestand, we'd had, we were 1-5 on the road, and you'd think that, we're really bad on the road. We're slightly over 500 on the road. Mm-hmm. And I think to compare with Luzardo, it's that, the guy's ERA has spiked a little bit, and that is a slight concern. I have no doubt against Miami that he can pick it back up, especially with the offense giving some support this past week that they had not provided the previous week. I have every level of confidence he can pick it back up. The question is maybe with some of these road starts, some of these short weeks, some of these, Miami can be tough. Miami in the middle of the season, for some reason, we have had some difficulties for some reason going into Miami middle of the season. So there is some level of concern, but yeah, the guy's stuff has been good. I mean, his past two starts hasn't been great, but we saw with Nick Abel that his first two starts ever, he only gave up one earned run, and then he got roughed up a little bit against Chicago. So, at the end of the day, sometimes it just comes down that this is what baseball's all about.
Yeah, and you really do hope that he can at least replicate the magic of the start that he had the last time he went up against Miami, which was the 20th of April. He went 7 innings, allowing 8 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned, and struck out 7. He didn't factor in the decision in a game that the Phillies lost 7-5 in 10 innings. But like you said, the Chicago start that he had, 6 innings, striking out 10, it seems like he was, if he was tipping his pitches, he stopped, or he's, spent a little bit of time trying to find his where he wanted his release point to be again, and he's starting to really hit those spots again because that game against Chicago was really good for him. You know, the pitches were there. He was getting everything across the plate. His stuff was breaking really well. And he's not afraid to go after a lot of these bigger hitters on teams too. And I think that's the one good thing you want to see from any pitcher in the major leagues is a guy that's not afraid to really go in to be like, hey, you know what I got, you know what's going to come. It's about being able to actually hit it. And Luzardo is one of those guys who will really challenge a hitter. I mean, that was his fourth 10+ strikeout game of the season because he had 11 against Washington on the 29th of March. The back-to-back 10 strikeout starts for him against Colorado and the Athletics, and then the Chicago game. Yeah. So, I mean, he can be very dominant against a lineup. He just has to be able to find his spots, and I think he's starting to get back there. Yeah,
and Chicago's especially impressive because Chicago's got a really good lineup. You know, it's not like you said. I mean, it's great. I mean, hey, anytime you get 10 strikeouts against a major league team, you deserve some props. But, you know, when you're going against the Rockies, who are freaking atrocious, you know what I mean? It's a lot different than the Cubs. You know what I mean? The Cubs got some weapons.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially the fact that, you know, going up against a guy like Kyle Tucker and being able to put work in on a really, really strong hitter that we've seen not only in the regular season, but in the postseason. We know that this guy can really rake. And to have Luzardo be able to go after him and be able to attack him and every other batter that he sees the way he has been, it's really fun to see, especially and with a lefty too. You love those kinds of lefties that are super aggressive, that are just like, you want it, come get it.
Yeah, it's good to have a guy. It's good to have a guy that has a pair of balls and not pebbles in the pants. You know what I mean? At least he is fast. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Where are we? Game 3 on what is Wednesday? Sorry, I shifted everything up to my other screen and it compacted everything down, so it's harder to read a little bit. But that's another 6:40 start on Wednesday for Philadelphia in Miami, and that pitching matchup is Ranger Suarez going up against Cabrera for Miami, Edward Cabrera. What do you guys? How do you guys see this pitching matchup working out?
I mean, Rangers given us his past 6 starts. He's given us 6+. I have no reason to believe that he can't continue that. I mean, despite the Marlins being at the bottom of the division, you know, their team OPS is right around 700. So something that I would kind of like point out a little bit is that offense is definitely not the issue of Miami. However, I will say that Rangers past 2 starts on the road against Pittsburgh, at home against Toronto, both pitched 7 innings strong. So, I mean, he's starting to get hit into his groove compared to his first start against Arizona back in the beginning of May when we're all like, hey, what's going on with Ranger Suarez? He's definitely been able to really keep the earned runs down. And yeah, he's been doing well. And I look forward to it on Wednesday.
Yeah. The one thing that has me a little concerned is their pitcher Cabrera. I mean, you know, because he doesn't have a great ERA, but you know, a lot of they're probably going to be showcasing him because I was reading that, like, you know, with all the Dodgers injuries that the teams like the Dodgers could be after him. So, you know, he could be a little I think Ranger will pitch well, but I worry a little bit that Cabrera might shut us down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Cabrera, his last start was only 3 innings, allowing 2 earned runs. Didn't factor in the decision in an 11-9 win for Miami going up against Washington. But he definitely has some good stuff. The kid's been really solid. I mean, a couple shaky starts here and again. Got chased out of a couple of games kind of early. A lot of, he doesn't have a single start that went more than 5 2/3 innings. He collects some decent strikeouts though. He has a 10 strikeout game so far for the year. His ERA for the month of June is currently at a 3.86. So you really do hope there's a possibility the Phillies can be able to tag him up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Suarez in the past month, you were discussing him earlier. 20 total innings pitched with an ERA of 1.35 now for the month of June for Ranger. So I think we're starting to get to the month of Ranger. We're also getting Hoagie Fest, which means we might be getting to see some more Schwarber action, which is going to be really fun. And then Philadelphia. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, we're getting first half Ranger, first half of last year Ranger now.
Yeah. And then Miami doesn't have a starter announced for the series finale on Thursday, but Philadelphia has Christopher Sanchez going on the mound. What are you guys' thoughts on his performance so far, and what do you think he's going to be able to do going forward?
I mean, Sanchez has been excellent. I mean, the only criticism, and it's just a minor one because he's pitched great. His control, although his last start he had great control. I don't think he walked anybody, but prior to that, he has walked a little bit more guys than he did last year. But I mean, that's I'm not gonna break the stones on it too much. I mean, he's pitching extremely well.
Yeah, 28 total walks so far on the year for Sanchez. But, compare that to the 88 strikeouts that he's had in a 3.05 ERA. Sometimes he's got to take the bad with the good in those kinds of situations, but hope he can locate a little bit better.
Exactly.
Mark, your thoughts on Christopher Sanchez?
I agree. I mean, his control's definitely can hurt him a little bit early in starts. I mean, that might be a bit of a concern going forward. But I mean, that's only a slight criticism. I thought he's done well. His past 2 starts has been over 7 innings. So that's another one. That's another one that I if it wouldn't surprise me if he went another 7 strong.
Yeah, I mean, the month of June's been really kind to him as well, pitching to the tune of a 2.25 ERA so far for the month. After that start, Philadelphia moves into the weekend, coming back home and facing against the New York Mets. This one will definitely have some top seeding implications in it, especially. I mean, granted, we're not even at the All-Star break yet, but this is a series that matters here. Phillies Mets, especially with right now going into the week 2.5 games out. Being able to, get some wins over Miami. Hopefully the Mets still skid a little bit and you can go into this series looking to essentially separate yourself from them. And you have 2 of your better pitchers going in that series in Wheeler and Luzardo, and you're giving McAble a go in that. What are your guys' thoughts on this weekend series against the Mets?
It's like you said, it's still a little early, but by the same token, it's a huge series, and it's always interesting because you're gonna have all those Mets fans coming down to Philly, and hope. I mean, like we said, we're 2.5 back now. I'm looking here. The Mets play 3 at Atlanta while we're playing Florida. So here's hoping that maybe the Braves do us a solid and take 2 or 3, and hopefully we could at least go 3 out of 4. And then if the Phillies win the series next week, they could be in first place.
Yeah, Mark, your thoughts?
Yeah, the Mets flaw plays right into our strength, which is the Mets. The Mets are phenomenal at home, but at times have been a little bit questionable on the road. Well, since they're coming to Philly, we are great at home. Mets have lost 3 straight, and ultimately they have a lot of questions in terms of some of their injuries. Sengo went down. The question is with Minaya. A lot of criticism this year has been on Soto. And yeah, I mean, the Braves, as much as they've had a down year, I still believe the Braves are one of those teams. If don't count them out, especially this week. The Mets going up against the Braves at home. The Mets are experiencing the same thing that we experienced 2 weeks ago. Going on a road trip and not on the greatest of terms. Well, we just came off a homestand, and we're looking good. Now we have a 4-game set against the bottom of the division, and the way that we've kind of like laid this out. Hey, listen, we've got 3 of our best guys going. We've got our ace going. I'm not sure how this really looks good for the Mets in terms of, and sure, I'm a little bit biased, but I'm not sure how this looks good for the Mets, considering that they've been on a bit of a skid, and they don't particularly play as well as they play on the road. It's a pretty massive disparity, and I think it's actually been one of the things that actually have hurt them, which is only for the Phillies. It's only the reason they're up. They have only a 2.5 game gap against the Phillies right now, because certainly their level of talent is they're much more capable, but it's better for us if they leave some on the table,
Yeah. Echoing what you guys were saying about the Mets not being as good on the road, their team slash line away this season is a 245, 333, 412 with an OPS of 745. So, I mean, they still get on base, they still score runs, but compared to their home numbers, there's minute differences that could tell you they may be missing at bat or 2 more on the road than they do at home. And like you were saying, the criticisms of Soto have been very heavy this year. It's been, honestly, as a Phillies fan, knowing what the Mets usually do, it is kind of funny to see. They spend all this money on Juan Soto, and then 3-4 months in, they're like, man, this is really bad. It's always fun to be able to just sort of rub that kind of stuff in on the Mets. Let me get you guys the projected starters for that 3-game set over the weekend. Game 1 is Wheeler McGill. Game 2 is Abel Canning, and then Game 3 is Luzardo and Peterson. Any of those matchups stand out to you more than others, guys?
I mean, I like the Phillies I like the Phillies to take 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm a little concerned with the Abel start, only because he's so young. So maybe he's not, that could go one of 2 ways. Either he's so young that he doesn't realize the moment, I mean, again, it's regular season, but still it's anytime you play the Mets, it's a big series. So, does he not realize the moment, or does he kind of lump up a little bit? So that's the game. The Wheeler start and the Luzardo start, I feel very confident in both those starts.
Yeah, you always have to love a Zach Wheeler revenge start against the Mets. Anytime you get a chance to see one, he always ends up pitching really well against them. Mm-hmm. So, and sort of like what you were saying, I mean, Abel, like you said, you really do hope that it's sort of he's too young to realize the moment and just goes out there and just plays his game. But especially, I mean, knowing this point in the season, I feel like a lot of the pressure is off for him as well. So it sort of helps him to settle into that mental space to be able to just play your game the way you want to. Mark, any thoughts on the pitching matchups for the weekend?
Yeah, I mean the final one on Sunday. So Peterson is the only one that really worries me in terms of that Mets rotation this weekend. I mean, I will say David Peterson is on my fantasy team, and he really did come through for me last Wednesday, pitching a shutout. But his ERA has been under 2.5. He's got 71 strikeouts. He's definitely had some. His past couple of starts have been very solid. And who we have going in that final and that rubber match, we have it's Peterson and Abel, right?
The rubber match is Peterson Luzardo.
Luzardo. Okay. Well, that's even better. Because I do, and I'm really curious to see. I think with Mick Abel is that what he can. He got roughed up on against Chicago, but I mean he's for the most part answered the call. He's definitely earning a spot in the rotation. I'm not sure what you do with him down the stretch. I mean, in terms of this year, if it really had to come down to it, let's say in September or October. But I mean, I think he's answered the call fairly well. For the most part, 2 out of his 3 starts solid. I would have been a little bit worried if he was going against Peterson, but I think that'll be that Sunday matchup. I will say it probably might be a little bit more of the low scoring matchup. And again, you question who that really benefits at the end of the day. I think at the end of the day, the Phillies starting pitching, it benefits them to be in more of a 3-2 game. Although you think of this, and this is why I think like it's more of an optimistic with the Phillies. They are the second ranked offense in baseball. And that's what we've known them to be in the past couple of years. However, their starting pitching is starting to, at times, has really picked them up, and it's kept them in this division race. So that Sunday matchup, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing Luzardo go against, an overachieving pitcher this year.
Yeah, the only thing that concerns me if it's a close game though is the bullpen, because I don't, what I mean, that's what did us in up in New York. I mean, we lost a few of those games because of the bullpen. So, but we do owe them. I mean, they swept us up there, so we definitely owe them this weekend.
Yeah, definitely got to get your get back this weekend. And those games, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, respectively, are Apple TV, Fox, and ESPN for those games this weekend. Any last things before we get out of here for the evening? Because I know we're pushing it a little close, and we got the start of this Miami series tonight.
Oh yeah.
I mean, do you want to do predictions for the week? I mean, what are the Phillies got? What 7 games? Like, what do you think? Like, what do you think the record's going to be? You want to, like, what do you like? I mean, I'll go out on a limb. I'm gonna say 5-2. I say they take 3 out of 4 in Miami. I would say all 4, but like Mark said, I mean, you go down to Miami and you could, that team blows so bad you could fall asleep. There's nobody in the stands, and that's the biggest challenge a lot of times when you go down there is there's no atmosphere. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm gonna say 5-2.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. Yeah. Yeah, 5-2 is. I was looking over it and I was like, maybe Abel gets a little shaky, and we probably end up having the bullpen give up that one. The Luzardo, Sanchez, and Suarez starts, I think, are all going to be very solid, so we'll have a bit of an advantage going into the later innings in those games. And then again, I think it might be the Abel start gets a little shaky, or he's solid and the bullpen blows one of those games again. So, get the 2 losses I feel like will probably end up falling on late game pitching and, not being able to get a couple extra runs on board to sort of try and bring it close in the tail end.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see what happens. What do we got? About 6 weeks to the trade deadline. I mean, this team, going forward, I mean, this team they need at least, I want to say, I think they need 2 bullpen arms. So let's just hope that the pen doesn't cost them too bad. They need at least a bullpen arm or 2 and probably a bat. But I mean, they're right. With the starting pitching, that's one thing. They're going to be in every game.
Yeah, absolutely. We're about to wrap up for the evening, folks. We do appreciate you joining us. Joe, do you want to give a couple of plugs for what other things that you're doing out there?
Yeah, thanks, man. Well, I like I said, I usually on Monday nights, I do the Sully Squad over the Out of the Box Sports. we do it Mondays at 6, but obviously this time of year, I mean, it's all we really have to talk about is baseball and NFL draft and stuff. So we'll be back on consistently once NFL training camp starts. But I'm really excited. I do a show called The Old School, and once a month we do a different topic. So 2 months ago we did Buddy Ryan Eagles. We had Angelo Cataldi on. That was a lot of fun. The end of May we did the Mike Keenan era Flyers, and we had Brian Propp on. And next Wednesday, the 25th, I'm really excited about this one. It's going to be right on Streampunk, PA. We're doing the 2001 Philadelphia 76ers, the Allen Iverson era. And we're going to have former player Jumaine Jones will be on, along with Bob Cooney, who used to write for the team, and he was on 97.5. So I'm really excited about that. And also, if you are a basketball fan, I wrote an article. It's on wrote an article on the era. It's on Streampunk Streampunk.com or whatever. So make sure you check it out if you're a basketball fan. But yeah, each month we do a different subject. So we're doing 01 Sixers, and end of July, I'm really excited. I'm going to do one on the Jeff Lurie Eagles. I'm going to write an article on Jeff Lurie, and I don't know if we'll be able to get him, but we're trying to get Dave Spadaro and or Ray Dininger, hopefully. So, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Yeah, make sure you guys give him a follow. Make sure you check out the shows that he has coming. Mark, any plugs before we get out of here for the evening?
I'll be back on the network soon, but in the meantime, follow me on TikTok at Mark the Solution.
Oh yeah, and for those of you out there, aside from here on Hardcore Sports, I do the Hardcore Play podcast on the Hardcore Play and Rewind channel over on YouTube. I also have a Twitch channel right here, twitch.tv/Hambo26. I've been playing through the Elder Scrolls Oblivion remaster, and it's been every ounce of what I've expected it to be. I'm very high level too early, and it has not been fun, but we're pushing through. But yeah, I want to again thank you all so much for coming out and watching. Joe, Mark, thank you so much for joining me this week. And we will see you all next week for another episode of This Week in Phillies Baseball. Have a good night. Enjoy the games, folks.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me.